The morning mist curled around the tall trees like silver smoke, wrapping the forest in mystery. Every leaf glittered with dew. Every shadow carried secrets of the ancient world. Hidden among the ferns, a pair of golden eyes blinked slowly, calm, alert, and endlessly watchful. The cunning hunter, small but graceful, breathed in the scent of life all around. The jungle was never quiet. It listened. The rustle of leaves, the flutter of wings, the distant call of creatures unseen. Everything spoke in rhythm, and the hunter understood that rhythm better than any living thing. Its movements were soft, almost like the wind itself, careful, precise, unhurried. It paused at a stream, watching the water slide over stones polished by time. Its reflection stared back, wild yet intelligent. This world wasn't about strength. It was about balance, knowing when to move, when to wait, when to disappear. As sunlight spilled through the canopy, the forest came alive again. Colors brighter, sounds sharper. The cunning hunter turned, melting back into the undergrowth, unseen and unheard. The jungle welcomed it like an old friend, the kind that spoke in silence and shadows. By afternoon, the forest glowed with gold and green. Shafts of sunlight pierced the trees, dancing across the mossy floor. The cunning hunter crouched low, watching a herd of gentle plant-eaters grazing nearby. It didn't rush. Every motion was part of a larger plan, nature's strategy in motion. The hunter's eyes moved constantly, reading every pattern, the flow of wind, the sound of footsteps, even the way water rippled near the stones. This was no chase of chaos. It was a test of patience. Every creature played its role in this endless circle of life. As the herd shifted, the hunter adjusted, blending perfectly with the foliage. For a moment, time seemed to hold still. Even the breeze stopped moving. But then, a sudden noise in the distance startled the herd, and they fled deeper into the trees. The cunning hunter didn't follow. It stood quietly, breathing in the air heavy with rain and scent. There was no loss, only another lesson learned. It turned away and continued its silent path through the woods. For the hunter, the jungle wasn't about conquest. It was about harmony, knowing the rhythm of the earth and becoming part of it. That was its true power. As the sun began to fade, the light turned amber, stretching long shadows across the jungle. The cunning hunter sensed change in the air. The forest grew quieter, more watchful, as if it too was waiting. Then came the sound. Soft steps, faint but deliberate. Another group of raptors appeared from between the trees, their eyes sharp, their bodies moving with equal grace. The air filled with quiet tension. Two forces of nature stood facing each other, not as enemies, but as reflections, both claiming the same ground. They circled slowly, reading each other's intent. There was no need for conflict. This was about understanding who belonged here. The cunning hunter stood firm, confident and calm, letting its steady gaze speak more than any sound could. Minutes passed like hours until, at last, the rival leader tilted its head, a sign of silent respect. One by one, the other pack members followed, stepping back into the mist. The forest exhaled. The tension dissolved. The cunning hunter lowered its head and turned away, continuing through the ferns. No victory, no defeat. Just balance restored once more. In the language of the jungle, that was peace. The sky darkened suddenly. The air turned heavy with the smell of rain. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and a flash of lightning painted the forest silver for a heartbeat. The cunning hunter led its pack toward the ancient ruins, stone structures long hidden by vines and time. Rain poured in thick sheets, soaking the world. The jungle became alive in a different way, louder, wilder, untamed. The sound of rushing water mixed with the roaring wind, creating a symphony of nature's strength. Through the mist, something vast moved, not clearly seen, only felt. The ground trembled slightly, and the trees bent beneath the unseen weight. The pack froze, eyes wide, but silent. The cunning hunter didn't panic. Instead, it observed, reading the movement, the rhythm, the direction. With quiet precision, it guided its pack to safety, avoiding danger not by strength, but by wisdom. The storm raged on, lightning flashing across the sky like cracks of fire, yet the hunter's calm never wavered. When morning came, sunlight streamed through the broken clouds, and steam rose gently from the damp ground. The jungle shimmered with fresh life, every color brighter after the storm's cleansing. The cunning hunter stepped into the golden light, its eyes reflecting both strength and serenity. The pack followed quietly behind. They had faced the storm not by fighting it, but by understanding it. The jungle had tested them once again, and they had answered, not with power, but with patience. And as they disappeared into the mist, only one truth remained. In a world ruled by survival, the wisest endure the longest. Morning sunlight filtered softly through the damp leaves. The jungle glowed with fresh energy after the storm. Birds sang from hidden perches, and water dripped rhythmically from vines. In this quiet renewal, the cunning hunter walked beside its pack, calm, silent, and aware of every sound around. For the younger raptors, the forest was new again, full of scents, echoes, and mysteries. They darted between trees, curious and fearless. But the hunter moved differently, its steps thoughtful and precise. Every broken branch and distant call told it a story. They stopped by a fallen tree, its bark carved by claw marks older than any living creature. The hunter placed a claw upon the mark, almost like a gesture of respect. Generations had passed through this forest, and now this pack carried their spirit forward. A faint breeze whispered through the leaves, carrying the smell of earth and life. The jungle was more than home. It was memory itself. The cunning hunter looked back once, seeing the path behind fade into green mist. There was no past or future here, only the rhythm of life continuing, endlessly and beautifully. That day, the pack didn't hunt. They watched the forest breathe, learning in silence. The hunter's golden eyes softened, knowing that its true legacy wasn't power. It was understanding. And in the deep heart of the jungle, that wisdom would live on, long after footprints vanished into the soil. As dusk fell, the forest transformed once more. Fireflies flickered like tiny stars caught between the branches. The cunning hunter led its pack toward a hill where the wind sang softly through ancient stones. It was a place of quiet, where even the air seemed to remember old stories. The jungle at night wasn't dangerous. It was alive in a different way. Every chirp, rustle, and echo formed a melody only the wise could hear. The hunter listened closely, its breath syncing with the pulse of the wild. Above them, the moon rose, pale and watchful, shining down on the mist. Shadows moved gently, not as threats, but as reminders that darkness too belonged here. The younger raptors huddled closer, comforted by the presence of their leader. A distant sound, soft and rhythmic, drifted through the trees. It wasn't prey or predator, just life moving elsewhere. The hunter's eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight, reflecting calm wisdom. The forest wasn't a place to conquer. It was a place to understand. And in that silence, the cunning hunter closed its eyes, listening to the earth, the wind, the unseen voices of ancestors that whispered through the trees. For that moment, the jungle and the hunter became one, two spirits breathing together in eternal harmony. When the first light of dawn touched the jungle, the mist shimmered like gold dust. Birds soared high, calling out to greet the morning. The cunning hunter stood on a cliff edge, looking down at the endless sea of green below. Its pack waited behind, silent, strong, loyal. This was not an ending, but a beginning. The hunter had guided them through storms, challenges, and silence. Now the forest belonged to them, as much as they belonged to it. As the sun rose higher, the light caught the hunter's eyes. fierce yet calm, wild yet wise. In that glow, it seemed almost timeless, as if carved into the story of the earth itself. The jungle below, see,